It's news that has shocked the gaming industry as a whole. For the first time since the biggest gaming show began back in 1995, Sony will not be present at next year's E3. Naturally, most fans of Sony have jumped to the conclusion that they'll be doing their own show instead, as not to have attention drawn away from their major titles. Except that they do have their own expo in the form of the PlayStation Experience, which usually takes place in December, and it's not happening this year either. And thus, fanboys have been quick to conclude, oh my god, PlayStation is dead, Sony has no games left. No, that isn't it either. It actually seems like the signs are pointing toward a clear direction. The PlayStation 5 is coming. Before we begin, we publish new content all week long, so be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. Let's put together what we know so far. At E3 this year, Sony held a showcase for 4 major titles: The Last of Us Part 2, Ghost of Tsushima, Death Stranding, and Spider-Man, and that last title is already out. The first 3 were undoubtedly impressive, even if we still don't know what the hell Death Stranding is. However, none of those games have set release dates. The only Sony exclusives currently set for 2019 are Days Gone and Dreams, and while they both do look impressive, they don't really carry the same levels of anticipation that we've had for games like God of War, Uncharted 4, and even original IPs like Horizon Zero Dawn.
I think I figured it out, but I need to test it on a machine.
We're also starting to see reports of developers already starting work on PS5 titles, with reports that Square Enix is already working on an untitled next-gen AAA title thanks to an artist who accidentally revealed this information on his LinkedIn. Further elevated by Sony President and CEO Kenichiro Yoshida, stating in an interview with the Financial Times that, quote, "At this point, what I can say is it's necessary to have a next-generation hardware."
What do we got?
Not sure yet.
This leads us to an inevitable conclusion. Sony is shifting The Last of Us 2 and Ghost of Tsushima to be available for the PS5, and it's easy to see why. The PlayStation 4 launched at the end of 2013, and its early life was, to put it bluntly, pretty lackluster. 2014 is widely considered to be one of the weakest years in gaming, as neither Xbox or PS4 had any must-have titles ready until at least the following year. And that's because modern-day launch titles traditionally have had a reputation of being kinda meh, as more higher quality titles need extra time to make the best use of their console hardware. However, Nintendo showed us how to buck this trend. Let's take a look at Nintendo's timeline in the last few years, because it seems that Sony is following a similar strategy. In early 2016, Nintendo announced that they were winding down support for the Wii U. And when E3 2016 came around, they chose to forego doing a major Nintendo Direct showcase in favor of doing a live stream on just one title, The Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild. At the time, the game had long been in development for the Wii U, but was now going to see a dual release on the Wii U and Nintendo's upcoming new console. In October that same year, the console was announced to be the Nintendo Switch. So essentially, 2016 was Nintendo's off year as they got ready for 2017. This is already starting to mirror what Sony is preparing for in 2019, though they seem to be going one step further than Nintendo by just not attending E3 at all. Back to Nintendo in March of 2017, and we saw the release of the Nintendo Switch with Breath of the Wild as a launch title, which received overwhelming universal acclaim. The result is one of the fastest selling console launches of all time, and the momentum kept going throughout the year with major titles like Splatoon 2 and Super Mario Odyssey. Looking back at Sony, given that The Last of Us Part 2 and Ghost of Tsushima currently don't have release dates, it's very likely that their development may indeed be moving to the PS5 to prevent a dry spell when that console debuts.
I told you. He should be terrified.
Since we already stated that 2019 would be Sony's off year, that would obviously put 2020 as the release year of the PlayStation 5, though what month is anyone's guess at this stage.
Get in the boat, boy.
But some of you may ask, why is this off year necessary? Well, it's simple. Game development takes time, and developing for new hardware is often a tricky learning experience. If games are released too late in the console's lifespan, they run the risk of being overshadowed by better games on stronger hardware in the long term. On the flip side, if a game is released too early on newer hardware, it may end up being a critical flop. So it makes sense from a business standpoint to take games already late in development on the PS4 and give the developers enough time to adapt the game for stronger hardware. And so, it's very likely that we'll be seeing the PS5 launch around mid-2020, with The Last of Us Part 2 as a launch title, while Ghost of Tsushima would release toward the end of the year. In early 2021, we may also get a sequel to Horizon Zero Dawn, and possibly God of War at the end of that year, not counting any new IPs Sony may announce at the same time. As for Death Stranding, well, that's hard to say. Hideo Kojima is clearly doing something that defies all forms of conventional video game making. All we're hoping for is that he doesn't fall into the same trap as John Romero's Daikatana, though that's a video for another day. Back to the present though, there are two more statements we have to make. No, the PS4 is not dead. While the first-party lineup is drying up, its third-party lineup for the next year is very strong, with the likes of Resident Evil 2 Remake, Kingdom Hearts 3, Shadows Die Twice, and Devil May Cry 5 just in the first 3 months. Let's not forget that the PlayStation built its brand on successful third-party support, and that's not going away anytime soon. And no, E3 isn't dead either. Microsoft and Nintendo have both reaffirmed their commitment to the show, though you should expect Microsoft's press conference to be jam-packed with nearly every upcoming third-party game release that doesn't have a Nintendo Switch port. While Nintendo also has the likes of Bayonetta 3, their next major Pokemon title, and of course, Metroid Prime 4, all which have been announced but yet to be revealed. Not to mention the likes of Bethesda, Ubisoft, Square Enix, and they who must not be named, EA.
There you go, we're out here chasing money.
Holding their own press conferences.
And we even use the folklore of West Virginia to bring our Fallout versions to life.
If anything, now that Sony is out, everyone else is going to bring their S-rank game to next year's E3.
No. Finish what you started.
Check out these other great clips from MojoPlays, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos.